Hi, this is Dr. Georgia. I hope you find today's message a blessing in your life. We want to make sure that we continue to provide these video messages for you when you can't come to church, or for those of you who live in a different state, or we noticed recently we have a lot of people in even different countries who are tuning in. So if that is you and you can donate to us, we invite you to hit that donate button just below the message here. So thanks so much. Let us prepare ourselves. If you put your hand over your eyes, I open my eyes to see the spiritual truth today.
I open my eyes to see the spiritual truth today.
Now your ears, I open my ears to hear the spiritual truth today.
I open my ears to hear the spiritual truth today.
Now over your heart, and just extend out your arms. I open my heart to receive the spiritual truth today.
I open my heart to receive the spiritual truth today.
The spiritual truth that I'm working with today is that God is everywhere. God is everywhere. But that doesn't mean we should be. There are some places, there is no place that's bad because God is everywhere, but there are some places that we go that we lose track of who it is that we are. We lose track of our own divinity when we go there. Instead of seeing things with spiritual eyes, we see them with frightened eyes. Sometimes we go so often to these places that we think that it's normal. See, prosperity is normal. Trying to figure out how you're going to pay your mortgage or your rent or your kid's dental bill, that's not normal. Good marriages are normal. Walking on pins and needles, that's not normal. Waking up every morning knowing it's going to be a great day is normal. Waking up in the morning, ticking off all the things that could go wrong that day, that's not normal. So there are some places that we should go. You know, sometimes we stay in that, what I call the neighborhood, that neighborhood of this is the way it is. Our spiritual work is not to change the neighborhood. The spiritual work is to get out of the neighborhood. Don't leave a forwarding address, just go and stay going. See, our spiritual work is to change that definition of normal and do whatever it is that we need to do to raise our vibration. Now look, raising our vibration is just church talk. That's all it is. It's church talk that says becoming aware and awake to who it is we actually are. Aware and awake that we are spiritual beings living in a spiritual universe governed by spiritual laws, having a human experience in our life. Ernest Holmes wrote a book called The Creative Mind and Success. And the purpose of this book is to remind us that we are God in nature, not in degree, but in nature in our life. Not in degree, but of quality. We are the same quality that God is in our life. You are abundant right now. You are the thing called abundance right now. You are divine wisdom right now. You are unlimited love right this second. And our job is the reason we came to this planet is to uncover more and more and more of who we are on this planet. Shifting our consciousness to become crystal clear in good times and in bad times. Times of painful growth. That's what our work is. And you know, that's the entire mission of the Center for Spiritual Awareness, is to remind us who exactly that we are. That we are God of quality, not of degree, but the same quality of God. That's what our classes are all about. That's what our worship service is about. That's what our music ministry is about. That's what our small groups are about. They're all designed to help us in joy and in education and in prayer to uncover more and more and more of who we are. Turn to a neighbor and say, you are divine wisdom.
You are divine wisdom.
Now turn to another neighbor and say, I am divine wisdom.
I am divine wisdom.
Now, if there's any part, all righty. That's all the time I gave you. It's just if there's any part of you that was easier to say you are divine wisdom, to say that I am divine wisdom, then we know that we have our work cut out for us. This book was written in 1919. And you see how tiny it is? You can read this book, this life-changing, by the way, book, in a couple of hours, but you shouldn't. You should read a paragraph, and you should stop, and you should think about it, and think about it, and think about it, and then go do something else, and then come back and read another paragraph, and think about it, and think about it, and think about it. Ernest Holmes, before his death, the publishers decided to republish it, and they asked him, look, we're going to republish the book. Are there any things you want to change in this book, because now would be the time to do it? And he said no. He read it, and he said, no, there's not one thing I want to change in this book. You know, 1919 isn't exactly ancient wisdom, but it's older wisdom. But just like the ancient wisdom of Jesus, the ancient wisdom of Buddha and Lao Tzu and others, this wisdom has it can have tremendous impact in our life. He tells us that we have to have in this book, he tells us we have to have certain understandings in order to have creativity and success in our lives. Now, I've chosen 3 understandings to talk about this morning, but there are many more of them in this book. They're not things that you have to believe. They're things that they're truths that you have to understand are operating in your life. And the first one I want to talk about is that there is a power greater than we are in the universe that we can use for our good. That we can use for our good. Now, he could have said it, I think he said it that way because he knows that we're using this power all the time. Whether you're using it for your good or your good yet to be, you're using it all of the time. He could have said a power for power in the universe that you could use for your good or your bad. But he didn't want to say that, of course, because there is no bad in God. It's all good in God. See, whatever thought you're thinking right now, whatever mean-spirited thought or whatever lofty thought you're thinking, all of it will bring you closer to God. It's not a matter of will this thought get me closer to God. It's how long will it take for me to get closer to God by thinking this thought. And some of us, myself included, we had to take the scenic route. You know? We had to move through the detox center. Okay, got that one done. And some of us had to move through debtors recovery, and some of us had to move through 3 or 4 marriages. We just had to do that. Some of us, drove through potholes, and we got the outdated map, and we had to do all kinds of things, but we were on our way. No matter how unhappy we were always on our way. Some of us tried to hitchhike with somebody else who we thought was smarter or closer to God, and we thought maybe they would take us there, they would save us. Haven't we done that? Yeah, I've done that too. Nobody out there going to save us. Nobody out there going to save us. But there is something out there that can save us, and that is spiritual principle. When we begin to understand spiritual principle and align with spiritual principle, that's our Savior. And sometimes we call that spiritual principle God. Sometimes we call it Allah, Elohim. We have many names for this thing called spiritual principle. But once we get it, once we learn it in our lives, that's what will save us. Second understanding I want to talk about today is that he writes in here, every person, every place, everything has an atmosphere of its own. And that atmosphere will determine what it is attracted to it. That atmosphere will determine what it is that's attracted to us. So we want to take stock of what is our atmosphere today. You want to know what it is? You begin to look around at who you're hanging out with, because that's who is in your atmosphere. If you're hanging around with people who aren't doing as well as you are, perhaps so you'll feel better, than they do, you gotta stop. If you're the biggest fish in a 5-gallon tank, you've got to get into a bigger tank. If you're the smartest person in your crowd, you have to get a new crowd. Not that you're going to leave them, not that you're not going to love them and pray for them and be with them, but you're not going to hang out with them all the time. They will not be the primary drivers of your atmosphere. You'll be in the company of people who have what you want, not what you don't want. You know, I'm in more than one program of people who have what I want. And I look at them and I see them and I hear from them. How are they doing this? And that's what I want to do. See, so often we want what somebody has, but we're not willing to do. Maybe that we want their sobriety. Maybe we want money that they have, their amount of abundance. Maybe we want the kind of marriage they have. But we're not willing to do what they had to do to get what they have right now. See, perseverance is a very big part of having a mental atmosphere. And see, your mental atmosphere is not determined by one thought. It's by your commitment to all of your thoughts, to the sum of your thoughts. That's what determines the atmosphere. So we have to ask ourselves, what are we feeding? What kind of thoughts are we feeding? Are we willing to starve our thoughts of failure, not give them airtime, not repeat them to ourselves, not call our friends to try and get them to get on board with our failures? We've all done it. And they're, so sad for us. And they just feel terrible. And then we feel worse terrible. Stop doing that. Find friends that won't co-sign that with you. That say, I heard you made an intention to have a different kind of life. What else can you be thinking that will help you do that? See, once you set your intention for not feeding your negative thoughts, only feeding your positive thoughts, once you set your intention for that, go out and find other people. You're sitting next to them. You're sitting next to people who will support you in changing your consciousness, in shifting how it is that you think in your life. Everybody has a body of evidence that supports their failure thinking. But here's what we want to remember, and what's so clever about this book. He said, principle is never bound by precedent. It doesn't matter how many times you failed. It's a new day. God doesn't, there's no God in the sky with a little notebook of your screw-ups. God only cares about what you're thinking and feeling and doing today. Not only today, but right this second. Because part of today was 10 minutes ago, and you may have screwed up 10 minutes ago in the car over here coming in. I know somebody in this. I know somebody in this group did. And I'm not only talking to you, but others too. Okay. God doesn't care. It's done. It's over. If you made a mistake, make amends, say you're sorry, move on. Well, Reverend Georgia, I have done such a bad job with money. I don't deserve to be prosperous. You're living in hell. Get out. Get out. Somebody else wants your bed in hell. They need that. You don't need it anymore. Then you drag them over here and we'll get them out of hell there too. But here's the thing. We don't need to be in those places anymore. Understanding number three, stop waiting. Don't put your good off until you have money, until you have that perfect job, until you lose the 20 pounds, until you get younger. Don't wait. Richard didn't wait. He said, I'm doing it right now. Don't wait. Stop waiting. Jesus said, when will thou be whole? Right now. We can be whole right now. Maybe you don't have everything you want right now, but we need to start developing a consciousness as if we already have it. We need to act as if. Now, we have to be careful with this medicine, because I'm not suggesting that you go out and spend a lot of money on your credit card because you want to act as if you're wealthy. That's not what I mean. I mean, get rid of limited thinking in your life. I'm not asking you to be single. If you're not single, don't act single. I know there's somebody in here. I don't know who you are. I don't want to know who you are. So we have to be careful, but we have to begin to get a consciousness and act as if in our heart and in our mind, and stop living in such a limited, tiny way. See, our circumstances, our so-called failure circumstances, are there for a reason. They're purposeful. But the purpose is never for us to fall down in booze. It's never for us to fall down in food. It's never for us to fall down in endless television watching. It's there as a big, giant shout-out. Turn the bus around. Turn around. Because there's a whole powerful world out there that is filled with creative success that is ours to have, yours and mine to have. It's waiting for us. One of the best ways to have that is to stay in groups like this, with like-minded people, to help remind us and lift us up and actually pick us up when we're falling down. Get in classes. Go on hikes. Get in small groups. If you don't have a problem with alcohol, go learn about wine. Whatever it is that might help you to be around people. Get in the choir. That is a fabulous place to be, to help, that lifts people up, wherever you want. But know that this church is here for you. It's here for your creative mind and your success. Let's take this message into prayer. There's only one power. It's God. And I believe in God and only God. I believe that God has one word, and that is yes. Yes. You want peace in the world? Yes. You want more compassion shown in the political arena? Yes. Whatever you want. You want food for the hungry? You want clothes for refugees? Yes, yes, yes. I'm here for you. I give thanks for that. I release this word into the law, and together we say, and so it is.